Hey everyone, welcome back to Patriot Act. Today we're diving deep into the sectors of the economy. Think of the economy like a giant pizza. Yeah, I'm hungry, what can I say? This pizza represents all the economic activity happening in a country. Now we're going to slice this pizza into 3 big slices, each representing a sector of the economy: primary, secondary, and tertiary. The primary sector is all about extracting raw materials. Think farming, mining, fishing, basically getting stuff directly from nature. The secondary sector takes those raw materials and turns them into finished products. We're talking factories, construction, manufacturing, you get the idea. Finally, we've got the tertiary sector, which is all about services. This sector is huge and diverse, including everything from healthcare and education to transportation and entertainment. So, why should you care about these sectors? Because they determine how a country makes money, creates jobs, and ultimately, how well people live. Let's break it down. Let's start with the primary sector, the foundation of any economy. This is where we get our food, energy, and raw materials. Picture vast fields of wheat swaying in the wind, farmers toiling under the sun to harvest crops. That's the primary sector in action. Think about the dairy industry, with cows grazing on pastures, providing us with milk, cheese, and other dairy products. But the primary sector isn't just about food. It also includes mining, where workers extract valuable minerals like coal, iron ore, and gold from the earth. These raw materials are essential for industries across the board. And let's not forget about fishing, where fishermen brave the open seas to bring us seafood. The primary sector is the backbone of our economy, providing the essential ingredients for everything else. It's a tough and demanding sector, often exposed to the elements and subject to the whims of nature. But it's also a vital sector, employing millions of people and sustaining life as we know it. Next up, we have the secondary sector, where things start to get really interesting. This is where the magic happens, where raw materials are transformed into finished products. Think of giant factories with assembly lines churning out cars, smartphones, and laptops. That's the secondary sector at work. Construction is another major player in this sector, with workers building homes, bridges, and skyscrapers. Imagine the precision and skill required to construct these massive structures that shape our skylines. And let's not forget about the manufacturing of clothing, furniture, and countless other everyday items. The secondary sector takes the raw materials extracted by the primary sector and adds value to them by transforming them into usable products. This sector is a major driver of economic growth, creating jobs and generating wealth. It's the engine room of the economy, constantly humming with activity. Hold on to your hats, folks, because now we're entering the world of the tertiary sector, the largest and fastest growing sector in most developed economies. This sector is all about providing services, from the essential to the luxurious. Think about the doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers who keep us healthy. That's the tertiary sector in action. Then there are the teachers, professors, and educators who shape our minds and prepare us for the future. And let's not forget about the bankers, lawyers, and accountants who keep the wheels of commerce turning. But the tertiary sector is much more than just these professions. It also includes everything from transportation and communication to entertainment and tourism. From the drivers who get us from point A to point B, to the musicians who entertain us, the tertiary sector touches every aspect of our lives. It's the sector that connects us, entertains us, and makes our lives easier, more convenient, and more enjoyable. Section 5. Comparing sectors' production, employment, and value. Now that we've met our 3 economic musketeers, let's see how they stack up against each other. The primary sector, our raw material provider, is like the strong but silent type. It might not always be the flashiest, but it lays the groundwork for everything else. It's often associated with lower levels of production and employment compared to the other 2. The secondary sector, our manufacturing powerhouse, is all about efficiency and scale. It's where we see mass production, technological advancements, and significant contributions to employment and GDP. Then there's the tertiary sector, the smooth operator of the group. It's all about providing value-added services, and it's where we often see the highest levels of employment and economic output. It's important to remember that all three sectors are interconnected and interdependent. They rely on each other like gears in a machine, each playing a critical role in the overall functioning of the economy. Section 6. GDP measuring the economic pulse. Now let's talk about GDP, or Gross Domestic Product. This is like the economic report card of a country, measuring the total value of all goods and services produced within its borders. It's a key indicator of a country's economic health and is often used to compare the economic performance of different countries. But here's the thing, not all goods are created equal when it comes to GDP. We're mainly interested in final goods, which are the finished products ready for consumption. We don't want to count intermediate goods, which are used in the production process, because that would be double counting and skew our results. Think of it like baking a cake. The final good is the delicious cake itself, while the intermediate goods are the flour, sugar, and eggs that went into making it. We wouldn't count the value of the ingredients separately because they're already reflected in the value of the cake. Section 7. The rise of the tertiary sector, a global phenomenon. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the sector that's been growing faster than a Silicon Valley startup, the tertiary sector. This service-oriented sector has been on a roll, particularly in countries like India, where it now contributes more than half of the country's GDP. So, why is the tertiary sector booming? Well, for starters, as countries develop and incomes rise, people tend to spend more on services like healthcare, education, and entertainment. Think about it. When you have more disposable income, you're more likely to eat out, travel, or invest in your education. Secondly, technological advancements, especially in areas like communication and information technology, have created a whole new world of service-based industries. From e-commerce and online banking to telemedicine and remote learning, the digital revolution has been a major catalyst for the growth of the tertiary sector. Section 8. Unequal opportunities, underemployment in agriculture. But amidst this economic transformation, there's a harsh reality we can't ignore. Underemployment, especially in the primary sector, particularly in agriculture. This is where people are stuck in jobs that don't fully utilize their skills or provide them with enough work hours to make ends meet. Imagine a farmer who owns a small plot of land, but due to limited irrigation or access to markets, can only cultivate a fraction of it. That's underemployment in action. It's a pervasive problem in many developing countries, where a large portion of the population depends on agriculture for their livelihood. Underemployment leads to low incomes, poverty, and a lack of opportunities for advancement. It's a major challenge that needs to be addressed through policies that promote rural development, improve access to education and training, and create alternative employment opportunities. Section 9. The unorganized sector, challenges and solutions. Finally, let's shed some light on the often overlooked unorganized sector. This sector is like the Wild West of the economy, operating outside the purview of formal regulations and social security nets. It's a vast and diverse sector, encompassing street vendors, domestic workers, construction laborers, and many others. Workers in the unorganized sector often face precarious working conditions, low wages, and a lack of job security. They're vulnerable to exploitation, discrimination, and hazardous work environments. It's a sector that demands our attention and action. We need to find ways to protect these workers, provide them with decent work opportunities, and ensure their rights are respected. This can be achieved through a combination of government policies, such as minimum wage laws and social security programs, as well as efforts from NGOs and civil society organizations to empower and organize workers in the informal economy.